I watched the movie The Pickup starring Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson. It wasn't originally on the docket for me to do a review of this movie. I watched it a few days ago, but the movie stuck with me as something that kind of irritated me, and I wanted to get it off my chest. I watched it with my wife after my kid went to bed. It looked like, hey, look, there's a R-rated Eddie Murphy comedy. It's about 90 minutes long. We can watch this after the kid goes to bed before we go to bed. And it was a serviceable movie. It wasn't great. It wasn't funny. It wasn't really that exciting. It kept me entertained just enough where I watched the movie and paid attention to it. Couple days have gone by and the movie's sort of been churning in the back of my mind, and I have a few things to say. First of all, let's talk about the director Tim Story. Recently on this channel, I did a review of his Fantastic Four movies. Really didn't like the first one. Rise of the Silver Surfer was a little bit better. I looked at IMDb to see what other stuff this guy has done. He did a lot of TV shows. He did the ride-along movies, which I thought were excellent. But really, it's a lot of stuff that I didn't care for or I didn't even watch. Honestly, I don't think Tim Story is that great of a director. He doesn't really understand comedy. I mean, the ride-along movies were funny enough, but The Pickup just wasn't funny. It takes a lot of effort to put Eddie Murphy into an R-rated movie and have him not be funny. Eddie Murphy plays the straight man to Pete Davidson's ridiculous character. Pete Davidson is good at playing ridiculous, and in this movie, it just comes off that he's the world's stupidest person. Not in a funny Dumb and Dumber kind of way, he's just bad at everything. He's not good at his job. He gets fired. He should have been fired. He makes as many bad decisions as is possible for a person to make in a movie, which is not endearing. And you feel for Eddie Murphy's character because Eddie Murphy has to put up with Pete Davidson. But Eddie Murphy, being the straight man, is just holding his creative juices back because Eddie Murphy is funny as being Eddie Murphy-like characters. Watch Beverly Hills Cop. Even the worst Beverly Hills Cop movie is funnier than this. The movie wants to be a fun action-adventure comedy movie, and it fails on every one of those levels. Action-adventure. It wants to be the Fast and Furious. There are some chase sequences. You can tell that they're filmed at really slow speeds, but quick cuts kind of hide how slow the vehicles are actually moving. You get cool-looking cars going fast with sort of hip-hop music playing, and it just seems like it's trying to be cool, but it's just low budget and doesn't come off as exciting as a movie that had the resources to actually pull it off. It just seems like a Fast and Furious wannabe made for TV movie, which is kind of exactly what it is. During the opening credits, I was excited to see the words Andrew Dice Clay up on the screen. I used to love Andrew Dice Clay. I know that watching his old comedy routines with modern sensibilities is kind of hard, but he was a genuinely funny person back in the day, and I haven't seen him in anything in a really long time. Completely wasted potential. He plays a slightly cranky boss of the armored car company, and his comedic talents are completely wasted in this movie. They might as well have cast any other actor to be the grumpy boss. He doesn't really give an Andrew Dice Clay type performance at all. Plot is absolutely ridiculous. They are armored car drivers, Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson. Their armored car gets robbed, but it turns out they don't want the money in the armored car. They want the armored car itself so they can go rob a casino. Because during the chase, Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson took out the henchmen of the main villain decided to recruit the armored car drivers to help her rob a casino. And because they're being held hostage, mostly because they think she's an attractive woman, especially Pete Davidson, they go along with the heist. And plus she gives them some sort of sob story. Oh, poor me, my daddy didn't get the pension he deserved after he was killed or whatever. Excuse to be a criminal. Yes, it's sad that her dad was killed. Yes, it's sad that she had a financial loss, but she seems to be doing reasonably okay for herself. Be mad at the casino all you want, you don't steal millions of dollars. The ethics of that just don't congeal in my mind. Spoiler alert, as if I care whether this movie's spoiled or not because I didn't like it. At the end of the movie, she gets away with the millions of dollars. Pete Davidson and Eddie Murphy's character let her go. And then Pete Davidson fulfills his dream to be accepted as a cop, but he realizes he doesn't actually want to do that, flies to the tropical island to be with hot, attractive lady, and Eddie Murphy gets a random package of money in the mail. He's like, hey, yay, money that was stolen, no ethics whatsoever. And you know what? They have this gigantic bed and breakfast. It looks like they're doing okay for themselves financially. Eddie Murphy's dream was to open a bed and breakfast with his wife, and they succeed, and then they get the package of money. It's not that the money was used to open the bed and breakfast. They're already successful at having created a bed and breakfast, and then they get the stolen money afterwards. A missed story opportunity there. The movie isn't very well written. The plot is serviceable, but it's uninspired. The direction is serviceable, but it's copycat of other action movies that were better than this movie. The performances are serviceable. Pete Davidson, he's Pete Davidson-y. Eddie Murphy, unfortunately, and the biggest problem with the movie is Eddie Murphy doesn't really give us a good Eddie Murphy-esque performance in the movie. He's just a straight guy trying to get home to his wife and doesn't want to be involved in the action. The only time he tries to be funny is in a restaurant where he's frustrated by having a calm breakfast while they're being held hostage. It makes some jokes about how he likes his pancakes. He squishes them up in little balls and talks in a silly voice. But it's just cringeworthy and not funny whatsoever. This could have been a funny movie. Just another little rewrite, add a few jokes, maybe pull it away from Tim Story and give it to a director that's actually had some success in comedy movies. I don't know. The movie just fails on every level. It's not terrible. It's watchable. It's a serviceable movie. If you want to turn your brain off and look at a screen with pretty things on it for 90 minutes, sure, watch this movie. But if you want an actual story, if you want to laugh, this movie does not do those things. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did you like the movie The Pickup, starring Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson, and kinda sorta directed by somebody named Tim Story? Until next time, folks, Eric Wilfred Watson signing out.